Latest Lions news. Exclusive updates on the Lions have just come out, and fans are in shock for a reason you won't believe. A new linebacker is already turning heads for reasons no one expected. The head coach couldn't stop talking about him. Then there's an $86 million safety that fans have been begging for answers about. And the news that just broke isn't what anyone wanted to hear. A second report has just confirmed the real reason why he isn't with the team, and that changes the whole picture. Click the like button before we dive in. Let's start with Devin White, because what Dan Campbell said about him this week could shake up the entire linebacker core. Let's talk about Devin White, because Dan Campbell is out here sounding like a kid on Christmas morning about this guy. The Lions didn't even bring White in until August 1st, which is late for a free agent signing to matter this deep into camp. But less than 2 weeks in, Campbell's already raving about him to the media, and that's not something coaches usually do this early. Here's exactly what Campbell said. "I like where he's at. He looks like a different guy than what we saw in Vegas last year on tape. He's moving well, he's thumping, pretty smart, he's got speed, still has that speed. What I'm seeing right now, that's what I remember in Tampa Bay when I was in New Orleans. That was the guy, he was a headache." That's a massive compliment, because we're talking about a former top 5 pick here. Tampa Bay grabbed White at number 5 overall back in 2019, and during his best years with the Bucs, he made second-team All-Pro in 2020, went to the Pro Bowl in 2021, and racked up 3 straight seasons of 120-plus tackles from 2020 through 2022. That's real, proven production, not just hype. But then things went sideways for White. The Eagles signed him to a 1-year, $7.5 million deal in March 2024, and he never even suited up for them. They cut him that October before he took a single snap. He landed with the Texans and played 7 games in 2024. Last year with the Raiders, he actually balled out. 174 combined tackles, 11 for loss across 17 games, 7 quarterback hits, 3 pass defenses, 2.5 sacks, and an interception. Sure, some of those tackle numbers probably come from a shaky defense letting a lot happen in front of him, but that's still a serious workload for a guy who bounced through 3 teams in 2 years. Now he's in Detroit on a modest 1-year, $1.3 million deal, and Campbell's saying he looks better right now than he did last fall in Vegas. He's thumping, and he's running, and he's finishing plays, Campbell added. It's outstanding. White's also set to make his Lions debut Thursday in the preseason opener against the Bengals, so fans finally get an actual look at him in the uniform. Here's the catch though, none of this guarantees White a roster spot. Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, and Malcolm Rodriguez are all locks at linebacker in Detroit. White's fighting Joe Bachie, Damone Clark, Eric Hunter, Trevor Nowaske, Amen Ogbongbemiga, Troy Reeder, and Jimmy Rolder for maybe just one open spot on the 53-man roster. So this preseason stretch is basically a job interview for him. Now let's get into something heavier. This next update is about a guy who was supposed to anchor the Lions' defense this year, and what just came out changes everything. Alright, now the not so fun part. Kirby Joseph. Look, it's getting to a point where the question isn't even, will he play week 1 anymore? It's, how far into the season are we talking? Dan Campbell just dropped a fresh update on him, and this came right after Campbell had already said Joseph needed 2 more weeks off. So we're stacking delay on top of delay here, and that's never a great sign. Campbell said Joseph currently isn't even with the team. He's dealing with a personal issue outside of football right now. And here's the part that should worry Lions fans. Campbell compared his return timeline directly to Brian Branch. And with Branch, the coaching staff has straight up said they'll just be happy if he plays at all during the regular season. That's a pretty low bar. And now Joseph's being lumped into that same category, a very different tone than what everybody was hearing just weeks ago. Rewind a bit. Campbell used to be pretty vague about Joseph's timeline, kind of keeping things open-ended on purpose, but that changed once camp actually started. Funny enough, Joseph himself was way more optimistic before camp began. He even tweeted that he expected to get cleared off the physically unable to perform list once camp opened. Instead, the Lions put him on PUP the moment he showed up. Now, 2 weeks later, he's still sitting there. No timeline in sight for getting off it. So track the pattern here. He went from possibly playing early in camp to hopefully being ready for week 1 to now the outlook is basically just sometime during the regular season, and even that keeps getting pushed further back. And now, on top of everything, he's not even physically with the team. This one hits different because of who Joseph actually is. A third-round pick out of Illinois, 97th overall in 2022. He balled from day one, 14 starts as a rookie with 8 pass breakups and 4 picks. Year 2, he improved again, 11 passes defensed and 4 more interceptions. By year 3, he was legitimately one of the best safeties in football, a career-high 9 interceptions, first-team All-Pro, 6th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. That kind of jump is exactly why Detroit locked him up on a 4-year, $86 million extension with $36 million guaranteed. And almost immediately, the knee injury hit during that very first year of the new deal. He played just 6 games. Now heading into year 2 of that contract, there's still zero indication he's close to a full healthy season. If this turns into another year playing less than half the schedule, Detroit's staring down some tough decisions in that safety room heading into 2027. But that's not the full story. A second report just dropped with even more detail on why Kirby Joseph is really away from the team, and it's not what you think. Now, here's a second report that fills in the gaps on all of this, and honestly, it explains a lot. This one came straight from Detroit's training camp practice on Tuesday, and it lines up with what we just covered, but with way more detail. Turns out Joseph's been dealing with a nagging knee injury that already cost him the final 11 games of last season. He hasn't taken a single practice rep this camp, though he's been spotted working with trainers on the side. On Tuesday, Campbell confirmed Joseph is handling a personal matter right now, but added that the rehab itself is going well, and he's still putting him on that same Brian Branch timeline, since Branch is currently rehabbing a torn Achilles from back in December. Here's Campbell's exact quote: "Kirby right now, first of all, he's dealing with a personal issue right now, but his rehab is coming along very well. That is I still see him on the Branch plan, if that makes sense. And Branch is doing well too. Those guys we're talking about on down the road, the season's already begun, but I like where Kirby's at." Worth remembering too, back at the start of camp, Campbell already said getting Joseph back for the season opener against the Saints would basically be a bonus. So this isn't a sudden shift, more like confirmation of where things were already heading. Here's why this stings so much. Joseph was coming off an All-Pro year where he led the entire NFL in interceptions during the 2024 season. He signed his extension right before last year, then swelling showed up in his knee during camp. He tried playing through it, grabbed 3 interceptions in his first 5 games, but the pain got to be too much by week 6 against the Chiefs, and that ended up being his final game of the season. Nobody's totally sure what's going on structurally, but there's speculation it could be a chronic cartilage issue. When healthy, Joseph and Branch form one of the best safety tandems anywhere in football. Joseph's grabbed 20 interceptions in just 4 seasons. That ball hawk label is earned. And to his credit, he told reporters earlier in camp he's confident he'll contribute at some point in 2026. Honestly, this whole situation with Kirby feels bigger than football right now, and Devin White might end up being the pleasant surprise nobody expected. What do you think, Lions fans? Is the defense still good enough without him? Subscribe so you don't miss a single update on this team.